All right. Fantastic. Welcome to another segment of the Horseman's Hot Seat. My name is Kylie Bartel. I'm one of the co-hosts this weekend, and this is my colleague Alicia Bradburn.
Hello, everybody.
And we are with the fabulous Dana Hokana for this next part of the afternoon, or I guess we're in afternoon, aren't we? Yeah, awesome. So right before we jump in, I would just like to thank Marg and Ryan. They're the organizers of Horse Expo Canada, and it's been a phenomenal event so far. Can't wait to just get along with the weekend and have a lot of fun, getting to know everyone. And some of you might have thought when you read Horseman's Hot Seat that maybe we're trying to grill people or really try to get under the skin. What we really wanted for this was just an opportunity to get to know these incredible clinician stories a little more. There's a lot of expertise, technique, brilliant things they bring to their clinics. But the fact that they've gotten here to this point, their journey can be really inspirational and insightful when they share it with us as well, because we're all trying to improve. And so whenever someone's been successful, we love to hear a little bit more about how you got there. So we've got a couple questions prepared. We might kind of go and see where the conversation takes us. It's kind of fun where that goes. Do you have anything more to add, my friend, before we kick off?
Not really, just that we're also really grateful that Dana could be here because I understand it was difficult getting here. So we're just so happy that you're here on the couch because we're just so happy that you made it here to the couch.
I'm so grateful I'm here. You guys don't even know.
That's great.
Getting here was just one of those interesting challenges. I have spoken Red Deer here 8 times, and in Chilliwack, I think 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I love coming to Canada. And this time, my passport that I had renewed and expedited, they were delayed and changed their times, their turnaround times.
Oh, no.
So my passport did not come back, right?
Oh, no.
And I was like, no. So I called my dear friend, Marilyn Randall, who's a great clinician and coach, and said, will you take my place? I mean, what do I do? And then I go, but I might try to drive. And we called the Canadian consulate. They said, it depends on your agent. Rarely we will let somebody come across, but probably not. So we drove almost 1,700 miles.
Whoa.
My sweet husband drove me. He's never been to an expo with me. He's usually manning the ranch and his business.
Right.
So we drove 1,700 miles in a day and a half. We drove all night long, straight through. He drove. He let me kind of doze a little.
Yeah.
Night before we left at like 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And we got to the border check station this morning.
Yeah.
And it was about 1 a.m. And we're there, and I'm saying my prayers, and we're like, oh gosh, okay, here we go. Yeah. And the woman that was helping us, shows cutting horses, had been to the main event for years.
Wow.
And knew my name. And we had birth certificate, proof of residence. I mean, we had all the material of me coming here. And she said, you know what, you go on ahead. I go, I can't let these people down.
Oh, wow.
So we got through about 1:30 or 2 and kept driving up to here. And I changed my clothes and did my first seminar this morning. And and you know what? I'm pumped. I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was, I'm just, sometimes, and I'm not trying to take over your question.
No, I was going to have a follow-up question to this. Let it roll. Let's hear it.
Sometimes, and this is something I could say to people, when you take great risks in life, sometimes you kind of find out what you're capable of, but you also, it shows your heart how much it means to you. Like there were people that have been messaging us, emailing me, saying they're driving one girl from Vancouver, from all over Canada.
Yeah.
They were coming to ride with me. And I'm like, I can't let these people down.
Wow.
If this can happen,
Right.
we're gonna give it a whirl. And
Love that.
so that's what we did. But you don't get far in life if you're not willing to sometimes take some chances.
Totally.
And this one turned out, and it was so good. So
Yeah.
I love coming to Canada. I love this event. Marg is doing such a good job bringing it forward. I'm so excited for that, and so excited to work with her and all the people I've met. And
Where are you from, Dana?
Temecula, California. I'm about an hour north of San Diego.
Okay.
So we were down by the Mexican border all the way to here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's no short drive.
It was all right though.
Right.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? This is something that I feel I'm called to do, which is to share knowledge and help people become better horsemen and help the horse.
Yep.
I'm a voice for the horse and the horseman.
Yeah.
And that's what my job is to do that.
Yep.
And so, you know, if it hadn't worked out, it would have been okay, but
Right.
this worked out.
This, that's
And-
pretty cool.
And I'm scheduled to do a big clinic in Big Sky, Montana next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
So, hey,
You're a
I'm in
busy
the
girl.
area.
You
right?
know what? Maybe it all works out in a way that you just
Yes,
don't always
yes.
plan on, but
Yes,
comes
my
together.
Airplane tickets, we never flew, so no biggie.
Yep.
This was a good experience.
Wow, that's very cool. Yeah, I was just thinking as you were describing, like, you know, you hit obstacle after obstacle, and it just feels almost overwhelming, very overwhelming at times. Where does your resilience come from? How do you kind of keep pressing through when the when curveballs keep coming your way?
And when you mentioned obstacle, I have to say something I learned.
Yeah.
And I assume that that's what you want,
Yeah.
is me to tell my heart on there.
Yes, please.
So, okay, an example in my life is people often have the mindset, and I'm just giving my opinion, okay? People often have the mindset of, oh, that was pretty difficult. It must not have been meant to be.
Yes.
You know, it was difficult. It must not have been meant to be. And I used to think that.
Yeah.
And many years ago, I'd always been a horse trainer. I'd done really well. I'd won at the World when most in my event that I was showing in, I was the first woman to win something big in that. So this girl approached me. She was from Georgia, and she was a producer, and she said, I need you to film these videos. I know you're made for it. And I'm like, not me.
Right.
And she came out to my ranch and started to film. This poor girl had to fly home because I got so anxious.
Right.
I developed like a stomach ulcer, and I was almost sick about it.
Wow.
They'd put the mic on, and I'd start to talk, and I would like almost pass out.
Oh my
And it
goodness.
was such a traumatic experience. She went home. She didn't give up on me. She says, no, I really believe you're supposed to teach. Let's try again. And we spent a month doing all the blueprint for it and all the outlines.
Yep.
But when it came to me speaking, I folded, right? So I just said, no, I'm not supposed to be doing this. And then she left, and I kind of thought about it, and I thought, either I'm not supposed to be doing it, or I'm really supposed to be doing it if there's that much opposition. And in life, sometimes how do we know, right?
Right,
A
yeah.
lot of people thought we were out of our mind. My husband takes off work, we get in the truck and do that. Was I not supposed to? No, I was supposed to be here,
Right,
right?
yeah.
People were counting on me, and I gave my word.
Yep.
So I'm going to give it my best bet. Now, if it hadn't have turned out, we'd have to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah.
But so the next time she came back, I had my mind set on there that, okay, all of a sudden the obstacles didn't look like such monsters.
Right.
I worked through it, and I
Yeah.
got where I was really comfortable teaching, and then produced like 24 or 25 DVDs and
That's
videos,
Yeah.
and I've been speaking all over the world.
I was gonna say it's hard to picture you struggling that hard to speak with a mic, because here you are speaking with the mic, and
Yeah.
just there's so much flow. So what a testament to
Yeah.
where you can get to with some perseverance
Thank
and
you.
being willing to lean into that discomfort or that struggle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I feel really strongly like all of us deal with fear. A lot of people in life deal with fear, right? And a really wise person said, if you back up to fear, fear will get bigger. You got to back fear up. And it was just about fear. And I learned, and I'm not saying I don't struggle with fear sometimes. I'm just saying in this arena and place in my life, I learned that sometimes it's like you're in a dark room and that fear feels so big. When you just turn on the light bulb, it's like, whoa, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's why now it's okay for me. I mean, it always works out. And it's proof to me that I know it's a gifting I was given, because then I feel like I have the words to say.
So
and that
good.
was my fear. I wouldn't know what to say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
Thank
Dana,
you.
for those in the crowd that don't know you, can you kind of describe what brings you here to the expo?
Yeah. A little bit about yourself, little summary.
Like, you mean what I specialize
Yes.
in, or
Yes.
how I got?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've always been a trainer for the quarter horse circuit. I started out actually training Arabians years ago, and
cool.
I had a wild Mustang I trained in. It doesn't matter the breed of horse. You know, a good horse is a good horse. And I started studying principles of horsemanship, you know, and I started realizing that, well, so back to where I was showed on the quarter horse circuit. had clients in a big training business and helped people. I still do. I coach people. We go to the larger shows, and I help develop riders and horses into teams. My daughter's show,
like
my
that.
granddaughter, me.
Teams. I like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, because it is about that, right?
right.
And so I, for years, was a horse trainer, and that was all my aspiration was.
Sure.
Breeding a little bit, and then when I started teaching, like what I've been teaching, I started. You know, it's so funny. You learn a little, and you expand inside and learn more, and your revelation on topics increases. And the more I learned, the more I realized that so many people either had the mentality of, I can't conquer the horse, or I'm gonna conquer the horse and I'll use any technique that
Right.
is gonna get me the job done.
Yeah.
And in our horse show world, a lot of people don't really have the heart to develop the relationship with the horse. They have the heart to just conquer the horse, right?
Yeah.
And so I started I would ride, then I'd make notes at night. I've written hundreds of articles. I write articles for a Canadian magazine called Show Horse Today, pleasurehorse.com. They're the largest online magazine in the world, and they get 1 million hits a month, like 700 and something followers.
Yeah.
But I would write articles on training, riding, fear, breathing, your seat, just to help people with that. But and it's not that I want to be critical of some trainers.
Totally.
But I totally disagree with the way a lot of people get it done with the horse.
Right.
And I realize that you don't have to ride that way. Understanding, I learned from some dressage people and great old horsemen. And, I grew up in the West Coast in California and rode with California reinsmen. I mean, I know the art of a hackamore as good as most people. I
love
grew up,
that.
with that world of the great horsemen.
Yes.
Understanding bits and bridles and the interior of a horse's mouth, the interior of technical things that just isn't taught. Understanding how to sit on a horse, how to ride better. And people aren't getting that information now.
Yeah.
The people who show are getting how to look good and buy the fancy this or that, spend a good money on a good horse and go compete and be who's who rather than become a horseman.
Yeah.
And so I realized I have to spread that message that we have to be horsemen. We have to think about the horse. We have to, these principles that I teach, my daughter was the high point AQHA reiner in the world for the high point of the year, 3 years in a row. Cool. So we use the techniques on our reiners. Our reining horse represented Brazil in the Olympics. I mean, we have big time reining horses, but it's just as important. It does the same thing in a trail pattern or a ranch riding pattern or a ranch cow working cutting pattern. Horsemanship matters no matter what event you do. Mm-hmm. You just may alter the profile, you may alter your presentation, but it's still being a horseman. Yeah. And I really am trying to get that message out.
I love that. There's just so many pieces of I feel like my heart's just resonating. I'm like, there's so many pieces to what you said that resonate with our journey, and that doing right by the horse is just, at the end of the day, what makes it so good. There's just something to that that's just so rewarding. Are there any specific horses that kind of touched your life or your story in a special way? I know that we could probably talk about that for a long time, but
I know, right? And yes, there are. And one in particular, I always wanted a great stallion to stand. And I went and bought a couple really top stallions, top bred, best breeding in the country. One of them died. One of them developed EPM and just wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. And then I found Invested Dimension, who was in one of the last full crops of the Investor, who's a great, great sire out of some foundational breeding. And he was a superstar. Like, he could work a cow, he could be a pleasure horse, and I was reserve world champion on him in the senior pleasure. That was when no woman had ever done that, and he was just a superstar. Mm-hmm. And he died last year, but I have his son that we're standing. But he was 29. I bought him at 10 months. Wow. He was like family, and I developed him into that great horse. He could do about anything, and has produced a whole bunch of world champions. But Invested Dimension really has, to me, he had it all. Yeah. And he was a special horse.
That's pretty cool. Was there anything specific he taught you that sticks with you in your training?
He taught me a lot about relationship. Yeah. Because when I was showing him, which was about 20 years ago that I was showing him at the big shows, I felt a lot of pressure to be as good as all the big guys,
Right.
okay? And sometimes I found I would get too nervous and put too much pressure on him. We'd done our homework, we knew what we were doing, but I found I would put pressure on him. He was a stallion, right? And riding a stud is a little different than mares and geldings. A lot of them, they process things different. And some people say, you know, riding a stallion, you have to be clear, black and white. Don't pick at them. You know, they'll almost get you back with it later. And he never was that way. He was great-minded. But I sure in the heck had to be clear, black and white, and not pick at him because he was an over-tryer and he would get rattled. And I all year, and we just hit a momentum and kept winning it. But I worked on, and this is something he really taught me. He taught me not to overpressure a horse because I want something really bad.
Yeah.
But he also taught me to work on the details. I would break apart what needed the work in that moment. Like I just rode the horse I had. So I'm like, okay, you know, he's leaning a little here, or he's not real light in the face right now. He's fading, he's leaning. You know, my lope-off transition wasn't what it should be. So I would just dial in with those details and just try to make him better. And I'd teach him, not just train him, I'd teach him. And he just came on and on and on and on to where he, like, every ride he got better. It was like people used to say he was human-like. And his offspring, many of them are that way. But I learned a lot. And the other thing he taught me was I developed a saying that I say a lot now. And that is, and it goes back to how trainers treat horses and how we do things, but teach your horse to say yes to you. Okay, so that's step one. They have to say yes, okay? Many trainers stop there. Teach your horse to say yes. They'll get him to say yes with whatever technique they use.
Right.
Fair, right, clear, foggy, abusive, whatever.
Sure.
Teach your horse to say yes. But then the next thing I started developing was, okay, I'm going to teach my horse to say yes willingly.
Yeah.
That was a whole new aspect because half the time we'd be riding and not realizing they aren't totally willing to this cue, right?
Yeah.
They're not willing. They're obedient, but they're not willing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so I really worked on teach your horse to say yes willingly.
Yeah.
The third thing was like probably my greatest secret to riding and success. Teach your horse to say yes willingly with cadence. Because when they have cadence, their footfall always tells you their heart.
Right.
You always can read where you're at on a horse with their footfall.
That's so good.
And that might sound real deep or complicated. And
No.
if you don't understand, I'll explain it. But
I would like you to
Sure.
to explain that a little bit more.
okay.
Interesting.
All right. So when you ride, or any horse, I mean, we're talking dressage, classic dressage, anything we do. If you have hold of a horse, right, and their rhythm or their footfall or their steps change, they're telling you that they are either wanting out of your pressure or they're disobedient or angry at your cue. Or say you just pick up and ask them to side pass and they grab the ground in a side pass. Their footfall told you their heart, okay? And so, like, there's a lady who's had trouble with her horse stumbling and tripping a lot, right?
Right.
And I've said eliminate unsoundness or
Yeah.
eliminate this. But bottom line, when she rides it, what she does is its footfall is stumbling because he's going to his front end with her, okay? So how they land, and I even go deeper into that. A correct stride is a full length of the leg landing flat-footed, not toe first, right? So horses will grab the ground or grab their foot off the ground when they're mad,
Right.
upset, scared,
Yep.
anxious.
Yeah.
How they land, how their footfall is, 100% tells their heart. Whether you're about to go run down for a big-time reining pattern or run a barrel or ride a pleasure horse, it doesn't matter. Their footfall tells you their heart.
Wow.
Their cadence,
Yeah.
footfall and cadence. I'm using those terms.
Very
Totally.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it made me think about just as you were describing those first two stages. You know, you get it's almost like you get an outer yes from them. You get the behavior,
word.
but then like you're also wanting that second stage of an inner yes, like
Yes.
to want it.
Yes.
And that's a huge piece of deepening that connection.
It totally is.
Yeah.
And when you break through and build that partnership level to really understanding where they're at and caring enough to work on it. It's
Right.
kind of like if you have a relationship with a person.
Totally.
And they're like, you're talking on the phone and you're sharing your heart, and they're like, good, yeah, I better go. Bye, I'll talk to you next time. You're like, okay. I was sort of, whatever.
Right.
But I mean, in a way, a horse is sharing their heart with you through their responsiveness, their body language, their footfall.
Yeah.
How I accept and respond to that says a lot about me as a person too, don't you think? I mean,
Totally.
you wouldn't treat a human that you really honored and respected. You wouldn't sit here right now and treat me that way
Yeah.
because you're here to make a
Totally.
good interview, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you want to pull out of me what I got to say.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people treat people with disregard toward what they're really saying, and we treat our horses with a lot of disregard to what they're really saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes
so
we don't
true.
even know what we don't know. Like
No.
sometimes, you see certain things happening, you think, oh, that's just the way it's done.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you know better, you can do better. And so that's why,
Exactly.
like, being an advocate, what you said
Yes.
earlier about wanting to share that heart, wanting to
Yes.
really try to honor the horses in that way and share the message. It's just so cool to
Yes.
hear.
And I mean, I'm proud to say, and this isn't bragging, I'm not doing this because to benefit me when I say this.
Right.
But I can say it as a testimony that it's worked at the world show level
Right.
of all the horses I've shown or my clients. It's reproducible that I can teach it to people.
Yep.
My horses last and show honest at 19. Look at the Lipizans. They do the airs above the ground in their teens, right?
Wow.
And those, you truly know they would have a relationship with those horses to be able to do what they're doing, okay?
Yeah.
So this works. It works on a beginner. It works on a person preparing for the biggest show in the world.
Yeah.
It works.
There's proof in the pudding.
There's that's my saying all the time.
That's cool. That's awesome. Which question do you want to jump to next? Want to take a look? We did prepare some questions. We've barely looked at them because it's just been so easy to kind of pick your brain and start to hear more of your story. And
I have one that
Yeah.
I'm curious about, Dana. How has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good question. A failure set you up for success. And so what I feel is it's what you say about or do with the failure.
Yeah.
Because I have gone through seasons in my life and I know people who have had failures and it doomed them.
Right.
It doomed them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that a failure in my past hasn't made me real scared to try again, right? Because for people that take the loss hard, or whether it's a loss in the show arena or just you weren't satisfied with yourself, whatever you're defining as a failure, depending on how much you put into it is sometimes how hard it hurts when you realize it, right?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that makes
And of
sense.
course, I can give the packed answer that's the answer we all should hear and would hear, and I've been taught all my life. Oh, this failure just made me know that I got to try harder, But it depends on the personality and even the horse. When horses sometimes get really abused or really pounded wrong, sometimes their failures, they come back differently.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes different ways to get them back. Or just like if you're helping kids that have been in bad environments, sometimes pulling out confidence again is really hard.
Right.
So for me, I have to take that failure and really work on forgiving myself and having the gumption to try again.
Right.
And some of that comes from knowing your purpose and knowing who you are.
Oh, that's good.
So when you know your
That's good.
purpose and you know who you are, then you can ride those storms like that.
Right. Yeah.
Like when I was having anxiety trying to film the videos, right?
Sure.
I mean, that was embarrassing. This girl flies from Georgia to Southern California, and I'm an idiot, right? That's all I could tell myself, right?
yeah.
You failed, forget it. And it was so hard. I'm almost like, great, I won't see you again, because I'm too chicken. But then that didn't sit with me real well,
Right,
right?
there was-
So I'm like, I gotta face this.
Yeah.
And so sometimes failures are just such an opportunity to face the wrong things, the demons in us, the
Yep.
fears in us, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I really think a failure, I think you need to answer the thoughts that come to you,
Right.
look at it appropriately, define who you are and what you want, set your expectations realistically
Yeah.
so that is it a failure or is it not? Is it
Right.
really just part of your journey to success?
Ah, that's cool. Sounds like even in that moment after the failure, really turning towards the insights of what you can learn. So that, the definition of insanity, trying to do the same thing over and over again and
Yes.
expecting a different
So
result.
true.
Being able to just, figure out how to change it, and then being able to adapt or pivot. It really builds a resilient mindset. That's kind of the theme that I keep hearing in what you're sharing, is this resilient theme, which is really cool to hear. And I think it really, if we want our horses to be resilient, we ask them to do a lot of things that are really strange and hard for them in a lot of ways. But if we're leading by example in that way, I think it helps them in the ring in a lot of ways too. So, yeah.
And when you talk about we want our horses to be resilient, as a trainer or as a coach, how that horse responds to a stressful situation, like their coping skills with it, right? And how you respond to that are what make them resilient or make them fractious or angry.
Right.
So you have to teach a horse to be resilient. Just like I think maybe the best parents in the world teach their kids how to handle failure and success and all that. I didn't really learn that, you know. Maybe a lot of us didn't, right?
Yeah.
So how we grew up, which doesn't mean we can't learn, we just have to teach ourselves.
Yes.
But the horses, when they all of a sudden can't please us, or they don't understand, or the message isn't clear, they don't become resilient. And being resilient is a super good word, because that's what I try to get my horses to be, is resilient. They can take the heat, they can take the pressure when I want more out.